What if I told you that no matter how advanced our technology becomes, no matter how many rockets we launch, and no matter how badly Earth's problems scare us, Mars will never truly be ready for humans? Not in our lifetime. Not in the next century. And maybe not ever. That sounds shocking, especially when we constantly hear about Mars colonies, cities under domes, and humanity becoming a multi-planet species. But once you look at the science honestly, the picture changes completely. Mars looks close. Familiar. Almost friendly from a distance. It has days similar to ours. It has seasons. It even has water frozen beneath its surface. And that's exactly why it's so misleading. Because Mars feels like it's almost Earth-like. But almost is the most dangerous word in space exploration. Let's start with the most basic requirement for human life. Air. On Earth, you never think about breathing. It just happens. On Mars, breathing is impossible. The atmosphere is more than 95% carbon dioxide, with almost no oxygen. Even worse, the air pressure is so low that your body wouldn't just suffocate. Your blood wouldn't be able to carry oxygen at all. You'd lose consciousness in seconds. Mars doesn't just lack breathable air. It actively rejects human biology. Some people say, we'll just make oxygen. And yes, oxygen can be produced. But oxygen alone is not enough. Human survival depends on pressure. Without proper atmospheric pressure, even pure oxygen won't keep you alive. Mars has less than 1% of Earth's air pressure. To fix that, you'd need to rebuild an entire planetary atmosphere. That's not an engineering problem. That's a planetary physics problem. Then there's gravity. Mars has only about 38% of Earth's gravity. That might sound fun at first. Lighter steps. Higher jumps. But gravity is not optional for human health. Our bones, muscles, heart, and even our vision depend on it. Astronauts in space lose bone density and muscle strength in just months. On Mars, that damage would be slower, but it would never stop. Over years, the human body would weaken in ways we still don't fully understand. Children born on Mars might never be able to live on Earth. Their bodies could be too fragile to survive full gravity. Radiation is another invisible killer. Earth is protected by a thick atmosphere and a powerful magnetic field. Mars has neither. Its magnetic field collapsed billions of years ago. That means cosmic radiation and solar radiation hit the surface almost directly. Long-term exposure damages DNA, increases cancer risk, harms the nervous system, and weakens the immune system. Living on Mars without heavy shielding would slowly poison the human body. To survive, humans would need to live underground or beneath thick layers of Martian soil. No open skies. No sunlight without filters. No real sense of outdoors. Every environment would be artificial. Controlled. Fragile. One failure in shielding, and radiation exposure spikes immediately. Temperature is another constant threat. Mars is brutally cold. The average temperature is far below anything humans can tolerate. Nights can drop to extreme levels that freeze equipment and drain energy fast. Heating wouldn't be a comfort. It would be life support. Lose power, and survival becomes a countdown. And power on Mars is unreliable. Solar panels can be covered by dust storms that last weeks or even months. Mars has global dust storms that can block sunlight across the entire planet. Nuclear power could help, but it introduces risks of its own. Every system on Mars would depend on energy. Air, water, heat, food. No energy means no life. Water sounds promising on Mars, but it's not easy. Most water exists as ice, often deep underground. Extracting it requires energy. Melting it requires energy. Purifying it requires technology. Recycling it perfectly is not optional. A single system failure could be fatal. On Earth, water is abundant. On Mars, every drop would be controlled. Food is even more challenging. Martian soil contains toxic chemicals called perchlorates. You can't grow crops in it without heavy processing. All food would need controlled environments, artificial lighting, and constant monitoring. Crops failing on Mars wouldn't be an inconvenience. It would be a disaster. And then there's dust. Martian dust is fine, sharp, and electrostatic. It sticks to everything. It damages equipment. It wears down seals and joints. Over time, dust could slowly destroy habitats, suits, and machines. It's not dramatic. It's persistent. And persistence is what breaks systems. Medical emergencies on Mars would be terrifying. There would be no hospitals nearby. No specialists. No quick evacuation. Even minor injuries could become life-threatening. Surgery would be limited. Supplies would be finite. Doctors would need to handle everything with whatever is available. One mistake could cost a life. Now let's talk about something people rarely consider seriously. Psychology. Living on Mars would mean isolation beyond anything humans have ever experienced. No fresh air. No nature. No spontaneous movement. No escape. Earth would be millions of miles away. Messages would take minutes to arrive. Help would take months. Or never. Human beings are social, emotional, and deeply connected to their environment. On Mars, every day would feel controlled. Repetitive. Confined. Over time, stress builds. Small conflicts grow. Depression becomes a risk. Even in Antarctic research stations, where conditions are still Earth-like, people struggle mentally. Mars would be far worse. And then there's the issue of permanence. What if someone wants to leave? What if they regret going? Mars is not a place you can easily return from. There are no regular flights. No quick exits. Living on Mars would feel like a one-way decision. Some people talk about terraforming Mars. Thickening the atmosphere. Warming the planet. Creating oceans and forests. It sounds exciting. But the science is brutally honest. Mars is too small to hold a thick atmosphere long-term. Its weak gravity lets gases escape. Without a magnetic field, the solar wind would strip away any new atmosphere we create. Terraforming Mars would be like filling a bucket with a hole in the bottom. Even if we somehow succeeded temporarily, maintaining Earth-like conditions would require constant intervention on a planetary scale. That's not sustainable. Earth maintains itself. Mars would need us to constantly fight physics. Mars is also geologically quiet. Earth has active plate tectonics and a molten core that help recycle carbon and regulate climate. Mars cooled too quickly. Its interior is mostly inactive. Restarting planetary geology isn't something technology can easily do. These are processes that operate over billions of years. And that's the deepest truth of all. Earth is the result of billions of years of balance. Atmosphere. Gravity. Magnetism. Biology. Climate. Mars missed that window. Once a planet loses these systems, they don't simply come back. So why does the idea of Mars still attract us? Because Mars represents fear. Fear of Earth's future. Fear of collapse. Fear of extinction. Mars feels like a backup plan. A second chance. But when you look closely, Mars isn't a solution. It's a warning. Mars shows us what happens when a planet loses its protection. When its atmosphere thins. When its magnetic field dies. When water disappears. Mars is not humanity's future home. It's a reminder of how fragile planetary life really is. Humans may visit Mars. We may build temporary bases. We may conduct science there. But building a true, independent human civilization on Mars? One that doesn't depend entirely on Earth? Science tells us that's extremely unlikely. Mars will always fight human survival. Every breath, every step, every day. Earth supports us naturally. Mars would tolerate us only as long as technology holds. And technology fails. So when people ask why Mars will never be ready for humans, the answer isn't pessimism. It's realism. Mars isn't broken. It's simply not Earth. And no amount of hope can change fundamental physics. The real lesson Mars teaches us isn't about escape. It's about appreciation. The air we breathe. The gravity that holds our oceans. The magnetic field that silently protects us. Earth is not normal. It's rare. And maybe instead of dreaming about turning Mars into Earth, the real challenge is making sure Earth never turns into Mars. Because once you truly understand Mars, you stop asking when humans will live there. And you start asking how long we can protect the only planet that was ever ready for us.